let's look at the judgment cited by the petitioners in this case. Like Harish was saying, that this hearing was a long one, went on for good 10 days before the judgment was reserved. The petitioners said that sexual orientation should not be a ground for discrimination. Discrimination based on sexual orientation is deeply offensive. It is something that the courts must correct. Sexual orientation of each individual must be protected. That was another thrust of the argument. Rights of LGBTQ, not so-called, but real rights, and give us those real rights. Rights of the LGBTQ community in here are right to life. So this is essentially, it boils down to, and the arguments really boil down to equality and dignity. Harish is back with us. Harish, during the course of this 10-day hearing, several precedents were cited, also judgments by the petitioners. Let's go over some of them. All right, we have a bad audio line with Harish. We'll try and fix that, viewers. But after the Supreme Court decriminalized homosexuality in 2018, here we are in October 2023. A verdict on marriage equality is awaited. The community, the LGBTQ community, is calling it fight for equality and dignity. Activists have said that this is the time to end homophobia, which is why all eyes are really on the 5-bench constitutional bench that will pronounce its verdict at 10:30 in about 22 minutes from now. You can watch that live on Times Now. Let's open this up. Joining us, Abha Singh. Needs no introduction. Ma'am, good morning. Good to have you as always. What do you make of the arguments that happened, and your thoughts?
You know, which is very true that this definitely violates Article 14, equality before law, equal protection of laws, and Article 21, right to live with dignity, because Supreme Court in innumerable cases has said right to life means right to live with dignity. So likewise, the LGBT community also has, they may have got the privacy rights, but to live with dignity is something which will only come when today's Supreme Court judgment comes on those lines. Although I'm sure it would not be easy for Supreme Court to allow same-sex marriage in just one order, because if you see worldwide, 23 total, there are 34 countries across the world which allow same-sex marriage, of which 23 it came through legislation, it came through voting, and only 10 were court directed. So I think the Supreme Court may give directions to the government that you formulate a law, go through it, because ultimately legislation is power of the parliament.
So is that, you know, that is an option for the Supreme Court? Do you believe the Supreme Court could, I mean, you know, we shouldn't be jumping the gun and, you know, talking about what could happen, but it is one of the options, like you are saying. And going by what has happened in the past around the world, the court could well ask the parliament to legislate.
Absolutely. I mean, nothing stops the court from giving directions to the parliament, but we know how this thing has been lagging for years. I mean, this is the same Supreme Court which at one time returned the order of Delhi High Court and recriminalized the same-sex, you know, the relationship. So I think today is a major test of Supreme Court, whether it has risen above the social, I would say the cultures, tradition, because it is just not one order. It will impact so many cases, as the earlier speaker was saying. So many laws will have to be changed. It will have to look into adoption, it will have to look into property rights, inheritance rights. So all these things come with that. And yes, what the one side would say, that when you can have a relationship, why do you want to marry? Why do you want disturb a marriage between you know, which has been ordained, I would say, by down the years, by decades, by our scriptures? So it would be definitely playing with our culture, system, community. So that has to be looked into mind today.
Other thing that people are talking about, Ms. Abha Singh, is what the centre had said in the court, that this is an urban elitist view. Your thoughts on that?
You know, that I think is not fair, because sometimes they come with the urban elitist view, then they come with urban Naxals. I think this is the problem with this government, because it immediately puts a label. Let us not put a label to a process which is now being discussed in courts, which has a legal connotation because it impacts the constitution, where you talk of equality and equal protection of laws. And if you have allowed if you allow same-sex marriage and then they adopt a child, or they have through surrogacy, because the way science has prospered, then how does the property devolve to those children? Those things need to be looked into. So to say that it is an urban elitism problem, I would like to say it is not only among the rich. Even if you go down to the lower strata, there are people from the LGBT community. So just to say that the elite are talking about it, no, it is a human rights problem, because not only that, before it was decriminalized, we have seen with our own eyes so many people of the gay community being tortured, harassed by the police, by antisocial elements, because they were vulnerable. So at least by decriminalizing it, we have got them out of the zone of vulnerability, and now they want dignity, equality, and they want to face the society. They want to live with the same respect. So these things cannot be called urban elitist look.
Right, because what happened in 2018 when the Supreme Court decriminalized it, that was a historic landmark verdict, because no longer can anyone tell us that, look, you are homophobic as a country. We are not. We could, you know, people can say that we are a conservative society, but we are certainly not homophobic. Let me also bring in Akkai now. Akkai Padmashali needs no introduction, LGBTQIA activist. Thank you for joining us. What are your thoughts? In about 15 minutes from now, the Constitution bench of the Supreme Court will be pronouncing its order. Akkai.
So 10:30 I should be outside. 10:15 I should be outside.
Okay, we'll try and reconnect Akkai in just a bit. Our teams are at it. In the meanwhile, let's play out reactions that we are getting. Here is what the prominent lawyers who've said, and we'll play out those reactions quickly. But Abha Singh, how do you, see if the court allows same-sex marriage and grants it legal sanctity, this will be a big win, considering the change in the social fabric of our country?
Absolutely, it's going to be a big win for the LGBTQ community. It will be a big win for human rights activists. It would be a big win for people like us who say that laws should be equal. There should be equal protection of laws. It should not depend on your sexual orientation that you get protected by the Constitution or by the laws. So definitely it will be a big win. But yes, it's going to have a bigger connotation in the society, because suddenly, I would say, from the female perspective, women would be saying that, oh, we lose our prominence, because it was the guys wooing you, but now it's the other way around. So definitely, I mean, on the lighter vein, it would definitely be a very different perspective in the society, because now people who've been living in hiding, they would go for their, but they can marry people of the same sex. But I don't think it's going to be very easy. The other day, Supreme Court, we have crucified Supreme Court. Today, let me tell you this.
The hearing, Abha Singh, and I want you to really weigh in on this. The Delhi Commission for Protection of Child Rights, the DCPCR as it is called, also backed this and advocated for the recognition of marriage, and said that we are ready to file an intervention plea to assist the court on the impact of such marriages on children.
Absolutely. I'll tell you here, because a child needs a mother and a father. So where would the motherhood come if they are two males and they decide to have a child through surrogacy, and the child is brought up in a house where there are two men, there's no mother? What do you talk of motherhood? You are doing massive campaigns for breastfeeding. You say a mother's milk is most important, but then you would say, no, we will buy mother's milk and bring. But what about the mother's love? So definitely it's not going to be easy for a child to brought up in a house which are there only men, doesn't know what a female touch is, doesn't know what is a mother's love, and a mother plays a very important role in bringing up a child, let me tell you this. So definitely the concept of family is going to break down, because if not break down, it will receive a blow, because you would say, oh, children can survive without mothers. And here when women, as a lawyer, I see a family court cases which I handle, we come and we talk for child custody and we say, no, a child needs a mother, a child needs a mother. So now you are saying a mother is not needed by a child at all.
Just stay with us. Advocate Karuna Nandi has spoken on what she's expecting from the Supreme Court. Let's play it out.
Queer persons, lesbian, gay, queer people, transgender people, intersex people, asexual people, as citizens of this country. As citizens of this country, as human beings on this planet, we all come with certain rights. Tomorrow, we shall see whether the court recognizes the right to marry, the right to choose the person that we love or not. Let us see what happens. We have worked very hard. The struggle has been there for a long time. Yes. And regardless of what happens tomorrow, the struggle will continue, but we shall hope for the best.
It's a long process, ma'am, almost 30 to 35 years it is now. Today, tomorrow there must be some, if it's in the favor of the LGBT community or against the LGBT community, what was the course of action for the future, ma'am, if you think?
Look, I think that it sort of depends on the nitty-gritties of the judgment, and one is not a soothsayer, so one can't know what exactly will happen. But the queer community, the LGBTQIA+ community has struggled for a long time. And many of those struggles have been successful with determination, with huge allyship, with democratic participation. For example, with regard to the removal of Section 377. Now, with regard to marriage, with regard to non-discrimination in not just public employment, but in private life and housing, with regard to protection, there are many battles to be fought. The right to marriage is a very important one, because it means that the children of these marriages are not branded different from other children. It means that those relationships of love are not given the same level of dignity and respect that they are due. So
that was Karuna Nandi hoping for a favorable verdict. Now, at the heart of the argument, Abha Singh, Akanksha Khajuria, our colleague, also joining us live. Akanksha, in about 12 minutes from now, the Constitution Bench of the Supreme Court will be pronouncing its verdict that will really determine the future of millions of people from the LGBTQ community.
Well, absolutely, all eyes will be on Supreme Court, and if this goes in favor of the same-sex couple, then this will be definitely historic. But if we talk about the arguments that were put forth by both the parties, then petitioners had said that in fact they had sought the right to marry. They had said that it is their right, and if they are stopped, then it will be in violation of the Constitution, is what they had said. They also said that if the petitions are allowed by the Supreme Court, then it will also give them a societal acceptance, is what the petitioners have said. They've also challenged the Special Marriages Act, saying that the marriage word in Special Marriage Act does not allow same-sex marriage between same-sex couple, and that is discriminatory. It should also allow the marriage between the same-sex couple, is what the petitioners have said.
Okay, Akanksha, just stay with us. More reactions coming in ahead of the Supreme Court verdict. Let's play them out.
सोशली तो हम लोग मैरिड हैं ही, अब लीगली मैरिड भी होना चाहते हैं डेफिनेटली. सो आई थिंक फेवर में होगा, वी हैव फिंगर क्रॉस है. तो आई थिंक पॉजिटिव चीज के लिए ही हम लोग फाइट कर रहे हैं. आई थिंक एवरी सिटीजन इंडिया के सबको इक्वल राइट्स होनी चाहिए. इट्स अबाउट द फंडामेंटल राइट्स. अभी ये सिर्फ मैरिज एक्ट को के बारे में नहीं है, जो बेसिक फंडामेंटल हैं वो सब हम उसको एक्सेस कर पाएंगे अगर मैरिज एक्ट अगर लीगल हो जाएगा तो.
आपकी शादी को देखा जाए 1 साल हो गया है.
हाँ, 1 restrictions.
और इस टाइम अभी ऐसा है कि इंडिया में ये राइट नहीं है
जी।
फिर भी आप लोगों ने शादी की
जी।
कोर्ट में मामला चल रहा है इसी मुद्दे को लेकर
Exactly.
तो कितने होपफुल है कि सरकार इस चीज को मान जाए क्योंकि सरकार इसको अपोज कर रही है पूरी तरह से।
आप देखा जाए तो सरकार किसके लिए काम कर रही है? आम जनता के लिए काम कर रही है ना? और हम लोग की शादी के बाद अगर देखा जाए कि आम जनता ने कैसे रिएक्ट किया, वो बहुत पॉजिटिव था। अगर हम लोग की शादी की बात करें तो हमारी शादी में सब लोग थे, रिलेटिव भी थे, नेबर्स भी थे, मेरे ऑफिस के कलीग्स भी थे। उसके बाद भी मीडिया ने जिस तरीके से कवर किया हम लोग का वेडिंग, आई थिंक हर चीज बहुत पॉजिटिव थी।
LGBTQ community hopeful. They are hoping for a favorable verdict. Abha Singh, before we take a short break, the thrust of the argument really, and this is more about the sentiment that they are expressing. They say that wedlock is essential because it is the key to social acceptance and dignity in society.
You know, they are, I agree, wedlock is important, and I think now that is the second step. In fact, at the time when it was decriminalized, everyone felt that it was a part judgment. The final judgment would be when they are allowed to marry. So I think that is what Supreme Court's next step has to be. But what is important is that how the government takes it, because the government has been clearly saying that this is something which has to be done by the parliament. So now I feel maybe the Supreme Court will say we are giving directions to the parliament that you do it. Like the women reservation bill, you have shifted it to another 10 years. So maybe this is also something pushed over, because right now when we talk of uniform civil code, we talk of personal laws, the government does not want to touch. So the Supreme Court has to tread the path in a very, I would say, in a very legalistic manner, in a very right manner, because this is not something very easy which we are asking the Supreme Court to judge upon.
Okay. Akkai Padmashali is finally with us. Thank you for speaking to us. Your thoughts, we're just 8 minutes away from the Supreme Court verdict.
They're asking you the question.
Akkai Padmashali, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
In about 8 minutes from now, the Supreme Court will be pronouncing its verdict. Your thoughts quickly, and then we'll have to take a break.
Yeah, I think I'm so much confident, I'm so much happy that the Supreme Court Constitution bench shall be delivering its utmost verdict, which globally awaited from the movement of the transgender and sexuality minorities concerned. I hope that this judgment shall be boosting the movement in this country. And you know, India's movement of minorities, we are leading a struggleful, challenges, life. I think this marriage equality verdict shall really speak the importance of dignity of each individual who are wanting and willing to go for marriages, irrelevant of your sex, irrelevant of your gender, irrelevant of your sexual orientation. I hope this verdict shall really play a vital and positive vibes in people's life.
On that note, we are taking a short break. Stay with us, because on the other side, the Supreme Court Constitution bench will be ready to pronounce its verdict. You're watching Times Now.